From blazing deserts to the lush rainforests of the New World, Spain literally owned half the world. But how exactly did a tiny Mediterranean country end up ruling over half the planet? Well, grab your helmet, because we're about to dive into the story of Spain's meteoric rise and eventual fall. And no, it has nothing to do with those two guys in charge. That's right. We're talking about the other Spain, the one ruled by monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella, not the tiny microstate on the Iberian Peninsula. You see, this isn't your typical origin story. It's one of war, expulsion, and discovery. To understand the rise of this Spanish behemoth, we need to travel back to the days when the Iberian Peninsula was divided between various kingdoms, much like Europe's current map. In the north, the Christian kingdoms of Leon, Castile, and Aragon battled against the Moors, Muslim conquerors from North Africa who had taken over the southern parts of the peninsula. It was a clash of civilizations fueled by religion. The Christians saw themselves as the true heirs to the Roman Empire, destined to reclaim all of Iberia. Yet the Moors weren't going anywhere. They had been there for over 700 years, mixing their culture with the existing Visigothic traditions to create something unique. And then suddenly, everything changed. In 1469, a wedding took place that would change the course of history, uniting the kingdoms of Castile and Aragon. Now under the rule of Ferdinand and Isabella, they launched a campaign to drive the Moors further south, achieving victory in 1492. But rather than stopping, they kept going, setting their sights on an even grander prize, the vast riches of the East. This was a time when the Silk Road was fading and a new route to Asia seemed like a distant dream. Then came a man named Christopher Columbus, an Italian explorer with a crazy idea to sail west across the Atlantic Ocean and reach Asia. The Spanish monarchs agreed to sponsor his voyage, hoping for untold riches and a way to bypass the Ottoman Empire's growing control over the eastern trade routes. We know the rest is history, or is it? Historians debate whether Columbus ever actually reached the Americas. Some believe he spotted the northern coast of Venezuela, while others argue he may have landed near the Bahamas. Regardless, this journey marked the beginning of Spain's foray into the New World, and soon the conquistadors arrived. Led by men like Cortés and Pizarro, they embarked on a mission to conquer and convert the indigenous populations to Christianity. Their weapons and diseases decimated the natives, allowing the conquistadors to plunder vast amounts of gold and silver. Within a century, Spain had built a massive empire stretching from Florida to Argentina, encompassing territories such as New Spain, New France, and the captaincies of Brazil. Their influence was so widespread that the Pacific Ocean was temporarily named the Spanish Main. However, some scholars argue that the sheer scale of the Spanish Empire is a misconception. During the late 15th and 16th centuries, Spain held only a small portion of the Americas compared to the extensive lands claimed by other European powers. While their control over the Philippines was significant, their authority in Asia was limited, and they didn't dominate the Pacific as commonly perceived. Despite this, Spain's hold over the Americas was absolute. From the bustling cities of Mexico City and Lima to the heart of modern-day Texas, their impact was undeniable. Yet some historians challenge the conventional narrative, arguing that the Spanish Empire's hold over the Americas wasn't as tight as portrayed. The majority of Spain's population remained in Europe, and their direct control over the colonies was limited due to the vast distances involved. Instead, Spain relied heavily on local authorities and Creoles, people of Spanish descent born in the Americas, to manage their affairs. But don't let that fool you. Spain's grip on its colonies was firm. Fast forward to the 17th century, and the scene shifts to Europe. As Spain's wealth soared, so did its enemies. Rival nations like England and France sought to diminish Spain's power and cripple its economy. Enter the Dutch, who rebelled against Spanish rule in the Netherlands, sparking the 80 Years' War. In 1648, the Treaty of Westphalia officially recognized the Dutch Republic as an independent power, marking the beginning of Spain's decline. Its empire was hemorrhaging resources, its economy was in sharp decline, and its population had plummeted due to disease and war. But wait, before you think this is the end of the story, let me introduce you to the Philippines, Spain's crown jewel in Asia. Strategically located along major trade routes, the Philippines became a crucial link in the vast network connecting China, India, and Europe. The galleon trade flourished, transporting Chinese silk, Indian spices, and Mexican silver to markets worldwide. This intricate web of commerce not only brought in substantial wealth, but also fostered a unique fusion of cultures between Asia and the Americas. Imagine strolling through the streets of Manila and seeing merchants from China, India, and Europe showcasing their goods. The Philippines buzzed with activity as traders, missionaries, and adventurers from different corners of the world converged, making it a melting pot of cultures. It was during this period that Manila became the temporary capital of New Spain, further cementing its significance in the global stage. Meanwhile, back in Spain, a series of poor decisions by the monarchy added to the country's woes. Kings like Philip IV plunged Spain deeper into debt through lavish spending and endless wars. The extravagance of the Spanish court was legendary, with nobles vying for favor and the king's ear. It was a time of opulence and intrigue where the cost of maintaining a noble lifestyle drained the royal coffers. But the biggest blow came with the French invasion of 1636. The Spanish were caught off guard and the war lasted for years. By the end of it, they had lost significant territories in Italy and the Low Countries. As the 17th century wore on, the once invincible Spanish Armada was no match for the growing navies of England and the Dutch Republic. On the high seas, piracy thrived with infamous figures like Sir Francis Drake raiding Spanish ships and settlements. The riches that had made Spain a formidable power were now being plundered by privateers backed by the English crown. The balance of power had shifted and Spain found itself on the defensive. But let's shift our focus back to the Americas. Here the story takes an interesting turn. As Spain tightened its grip on its colonies, it inadvertently sowed the seeds of rebellion. The encomienda system, while bringing wealth to Spain, also exploited the indigenous populations. The forced labor and harsh treatment of the natives led to widespread discontent. This simmering tension would eventually boil over, leading to revolts and uprisings across the Spanish colonies. Enter the 18th century, and the Bourbon dynasty took the throne with the best of intentions. They introduced reforms aimed at modernizing Spain's rule over its empire, cutting out corruption, and increasing revenue. But as with any ruler trying to shake things up, not everyone was happy. The Bourbons' desire to increase efficiency and tighten control led to opposition from the wealthy Spanish-American elite. The Peninsulars, those born in Spain, were often favored for important positions, leading to resentment among the Criollos and Mestizos who argued they deserved a bigger voice in the government. This growing divide between the colonizers and the colonized would play a crucial role in the upcoming revolutions. At the same time, the United States was becoming restless under British rule. Ideas of self-governance and democracy were taking root, inspiring calls for independence. The American Revolution became a beacon of hope for many Spaniards who dreamed of breaking free from their colonial shackles. Spain entered the fray, initially seeking to undermine the British and win back lost territories, but this gamble paid off in unexpected ways. After the United States declared independence in 1776, Spain saw an opportunity to strike a blow against the British. By supporting the Patriots, Spain hoped to weaken its rival and gain an advantage in the ongoing struggle for global supremacy. The French also joined the party, hoping to carve out a piece of the action. They formed a grand alliance with Spain, solidifying their commitment to support the American cause. Together, they provided the Patriots with much-needed assistance, including military aid and crucial financial backing. With these alliances forged, the stage was set for a monumental shift in world power, and guess what happened next? Well, you'll have to tune in next time to find out how the Spanish Empire, already on shaky ground, collapsed under the weight of its own mistakes and the flames of revolution. Until then, keep those brain cells firing and those thinking caps on. Who knows? You might just find yourself ruling over the next global empire.